welcome everybody here this afternoon on this, while it's a solemn occasion, we also want to celebrate Ken for the awesome guy that he was, incredible how he touched each of our lives in many different ways. So we'll go ahead, let's start out, and I'm going to have Perry, if you'll come read the obituary.
Nope.
All right.
Oh, wait. Miss Wendy, if you please.
Ken Rutherford, a longtime resident of Los Alamos, passed away after a fall in his driveway. He lived with Parkinson's in recent years, but he never let that slow his sense of humor or kind-natured love for all. Born 1952 to Perry and Rita in Los Alamos, he graduated LHS in the class of 1970, probably. His many adventures in life included ski bumming in Colorado, working construction, his real estate agent. I'm kind of like a genealogy history buff, and I found the Los Alamos monitor from the Friday I was born. And in the front page there's a story that actually mentions that he's the secretary of the area board of realtors. So how often is your dad on the front page of the hometown newspaper when you're the day you're born?
He was also vice president of the Los Alamos Board of Realtors.
They built a adobe house down in La Mesilla, and then went back to work in real estate in Albuquerque for a good long while in the 80s. He was always an excellent dad, and I look forward to my weekends with him. And I ended up in the middle of third grade, just about Christopher's age now, to go live with my dad. And I lived in Albuquerque with him third and fourth grade. And I remember the summer after the fourth grade, I had a really bad time. And I remember basically throwing a temper tantrum that I didn't want to live in Albuquerque anymore. I wanted to live in Los Alamos. And what happened is he probably got burnt out with selling real estate, and he ended up with the family buying the Allied Meats out on DP Road. And so we moved back to Los Alamos in, I believe, August 1989, and he lived here ever since. His really passionate about running that business. We relocated it to the Merrimack Center and spent every evening while the shop was still open for business on DP Road, renovating and doing the tenant remodel at the Merrimack. He really enjoyed the people and the food and the music. That sort of thanks to us. He worked at the doing property maintenance, the condos behind the library there, and in later years he really enjoyed the Tavern League poker and was multiple occasions a national qualifier for their Tavern League poker points-based tournaments. After the Sogrand, he rebuilt the family homes in 2593 36th Street, and he is known for his generosity and hospitality. I could be like coming up to like visit, and there'd be like some person that I hadn't seen in 5 years, and they'd be like crashed on the couch, and that was cool. And that was the open door policy that he always had, and I think he just always loved people, and he was so outgoing, and always wanted to catch up with everyone about everything, and wanted to know what everyone was doing, what was new to them. So he started tinkering and inventions. He has one patent for a spiral syringe to fill a bagel with filling without having to slice the bagel. I teased him about it and called it the Jew screw. But he was always tinkering with things, and one of the weirder things with the Parkinson's is he had hallucinations, and the hallucinations that he had were like always like kind of like benevolent, like there were like little people in the house or kids holding up things that were spinning and rotating. And one time we were at the dinner table, and he asked me, do you think companies pay those kids to hold those things up? Or are they just doing it for fun? But he's always good-natured, and he's a sweet, sweet man, and I miss him deeply.
They're all connected or something.
I've been to enough funerals in this hometown of ours to know to not have a paper to read. So when Ken was born in 1952 at the Los Alamos Hospital, that building was quite new. And in fact, in 1950, when Perry and Rita moved here with their 5 children, Tom, Pat, Joe, Don, and Elizabeth, they moved from Flint kind of via Denver for a while. And then that same year, in 1950, Bob was born, still in the old military hospital that was left over from the Manhattan Project. And I, Victor, followed Ken by 15 and a half months, being born in the new hospital in 1954. So we grew up in a wondrous neighborhood at 36th Street in Arizona, where we built tree forts and underground forts in the woods surrounding our neighborhood, and made dams in the regularly flowing streams in Rendia Canyon. Here are 2 prime fort builders right over here, Glen and Robert. And climbed a lot of trees, I remember, Robert. And then in the evening, we played just many huge games of kick the can and hide and go seek. After dinner, we'd hear a screen door slam, and somebody would come out to the triangle in front of our house and yell, "Kick the can!" And suddenly there would be 30, 40, 50 kids there. This was during the baby boom years. We were heavily populated with kids who just wanted to have fun in the evening. Although some kids, like the Brophies, I remember, had to go in when the street lights came on. So Ken was in his element in that wondrous world, and early on showed a strong spirit of creativity and skill in making things. So with our lives mostly spent running around in the jungles of our pine forest there, Ken and I really enjoyed watching Tarzan movies. So probably when I was 4 and he was 5, he decided that he and I should have Tarzan costumes. So we got some scrap brown material from my mother's fabric scrap pile, and we hand sewed ourselves some skimpy Tarzan loincloths, and we wore those and ran around the neighborhood like Johnny Weissmuller calling out, for the animals to come, elephants, whatever might be there. But fortunately for our mother, we weren't that great of tailors, and so these things only lasted about 2 or 3 days. And so then we retired them and then went on to some new adventure. And in the winter time, if we weren't outside building snow forts, snowmen, or snowballs, then we would be inside turning our bunk beds into stagecoaches and pirate ships. And for the ships, this was probably when Ken was probably 7 or 8, he imagined and drew up plans for a heated water coil steam jet system that powered our pirate ship faster than any sail. And Ken loved the outdoors, and as we got older, our neighborhood expanded with things like hitchhiking downtown, taking many long hikes, and spending many days fishing at Los Alamos Reservoir. And most often this was with close friends like Glen and Robert, companions in adventures and sometimes a bit of mischief. So also in the days of Don Drysdale and Y.A. Tittle, Ken loved sports, playing Little League baseball for many years and lots of neighborhood games of football, baseball, kickball. And then also on a smaller scale, as part of the summer rec program they had back then, Ken won quite a few trophies in city tournaments for shuffleboard, caroms, and miniature pool. Later on, he took up snow skiing, and that became a long-time passion of his. Ken always loved music, and in addition to listening to the alternative rock on KRST, this was before it went country, of course, every Wednesday we also listened to Blues Night on KUNM. Ken loved the blues from very early on. Sorry. So, Ken's love for going to concerts, probably, this is choking me up, sorry. Ken probably got his love for going to concerts when Bob took Ken and I to a Led Zeppelin concert on their first U.S. tour down at the Civic Auditorium in Albuquerque. That was something, and so from then on, Ken was a consummate concert goer, and we couldn't quite find it, but he had just a list of concerts, pages of concerts, list of concerts he had been to over the years. Some of them with Russ. In fact, I remember going with Russ and Ken to a Santana concert, and then also to a B.B. King and Fabulous Thunderbirds and Buddy Guy concert.
Getting into my speech now.
Okay, so that's all I'm going to say about it. All right, and Ken was an avid supporter of Russ's Gordon's Friday night summer concert series. Okay, now moving away from music, Ken primarily tried to avoid conflict and would let many things slide when he was wrong, but he was also a scrappy fighter. As I witnessed one time when I was 13 and he was close to 14 or 15, sorry, we got jumped by 3 bigger guys in Las Vegas, Nevada. We're out there visiting Pat and just walking down the street, and suddenly these 3 guys are attacking us. And so mostly we were trying to avoid this, and but they were pretty persistent at it. And Ken and I were holding our own, and fortunately though, I was quite relieved when a guy came out of a car lot and yelled that he was going to call the police. And so 2 of the guys ran off, and they were calling for their buddy to come join them. Come on, his name was Frankie, I remember that. Come on, Frankie, the police are coming. And he yelled back, I can't. And I looked over, and this guy was probably a head taller than Ken, and Ken was running, chasing the guy in a circle, with each step giving him a boot in the backside. So we were able to prevail because of his bulldoggedness there. But because of his generally pleasant nature and his interest in other people's lives and interest in a wide range of topics, Ken had many friends. He had a servant's heart, and people were important to him. But none were as important to him as his children, Perry and Jessica, and his grandchildren that he just loved very dearly. So Ken will be missed by many. Throughout life, he was my go-to guy for so many areas, and I will also surely miss him.
Well, hey, I'm Glen, and I'm going to talk a little bit about Ken's ski adventure we had. But let me get my notes out. Yeah, I'm Glen Larson, and a lifetime friend of Ken's. Many knew Ken as a mild-mannered businessman, father, and inventor. But when he was a young man, he was on the cutting edge of hot dog skiing. We were first introduced as toddlers because my folks, Barbara and Don Larson, were good friends with Rita and Perry Rutherford, now sadly interned here at Guaje Pine. And well, back in the day, Greg Sherwood, Ken, and I were kind of a ski trio up the Parino ski hill, Parino Mountain, which became our hangout 3 days a week. You know, that's all they were open. But anyhow, Ken, Greg, and I, and many others had the ski gene. That is, skiers who excel in the love of free-flying skiing. Anyhow, Ken finally scored some Stratoflexes. A new ski from France, and first generation of plastic, fiberglass, and a continuous edge. And compared to the old skis, I don't know, most of you guys know, but they were wood, screw-on edges, cable bindings. So this was really and these were really a state-of-the-art, started the state-of-the-art ski when Ken got them. And let's see, some of Ken's early skiing innovations was we used to strap on high backs for our ski boots so we could jet off the bungles better. And also Ken and I came up, and some of the other crowd, we got these old wood skis and cut them real short so we could go ski the trees. And it was kind of, nowadays they make a ski like this, but anyhow, we were kind of innovators and got to ski trees between the runs and where it was steep and deep. And anyhow, it was a fun thing back when we were young and crazy. Well, anyhow, back to the hot dog skiing and the Roscanal straddle flexes on Lone Spruce. It had the new chairlift, and Ken came flying down and threw a Royal Christie right into the lift, which is where you're skiing and you kick your ski out on a straight angle like this. One ski out. I can't get my leg up that high. But anyhow, Ken was skiing and and he hit a bump and the tip came down and popped the ski free. Of course, it's been going this way. And then because of the safety straps, which are really antique, they got rid of these finally. But that caused the ski to whirlwind and smacked Ken right in the femur and broke his femur in the spot. And Ken said, I knew I was in trouble when I was sliding down the slope and my leg was next to me. Ouch. But anyhow, that didn't keep Ken from skiing. He skied on for a lot of times, and anyhow, Ken was a good friend, and to me, he was a go-for-it guy. And I've got a bunch of old stories to share later with, want to hear some more ski stories? I got plenty of them, and other stories. But anyhow, I just wanted to talk about how Ken really racked his leg, and anyhow, he kept on skiing after that, so he definitely had the ski gene. And man, we had a lot of good times on the slopes. Thank you.
Michael Charles. I'm a longtime friend of the Rutherford family. Jessica was one of my first best friends. And Ken saw a light in me that I didn't see at that time. And so Allied was a really powerful place for me. And I'd like to share just a little bit of that with you guys. There aren't many long-term residents in Los Alamos who don't know the name Ken Rutherford or Allied Foods or Meats. His restaurant catered many of the most important days in people's lives. Weddings, graduations, reunions, the list goes on. For me, my years at Allied were a turning point in a troubled teen's life. I was struggling to find my place in the world, and school wasn't working for me. Ken was the leader who saw potential in a girl who was quickly veering off path, and he gave her a chance. The time I spent at Allied literally shaped my entire future. Ken had a remarkable way of seeing the best in people. He gave many kids a job and a chance when others might not have. He teased me relentlessly about my nose ring and my too dark makeup, but it was always done kindly, and he never once made me feel like I didn't belong. Ken gave me the opportunity to learn how to value responsibility, integrity, and hard work. He also showed me that work could and should be fun. When I found out about Ken's passing, I told his daughter that I regretted that I never expressed any of this to him. She said, I doubt he would have ever taken credit for any of that. He was so proud of you and what you'd become. No words were necessary. And it was enough for him to know you were happy and successful. Ken had such a generous spirit. During the Cerro Grande fires, he and his team stayed behind in Los Alamos as long as it was safe to do so in order to feed the firefighters. Once it was all over and the evacuation had been lifted, Ken rented a huge cabin at Heron Lake and treated his entire crew to a weekend away, complete with steaks and king crab legs, to thank them for their hard work during that time. I was living in Albuquerque. I didn't even work there anymore at that time, but he included me for the invitation. And it was one of the most special weekends of my life. It's been 20 years since I last worked at Allied. But to this day, when I'm stressed out, I still dream about working there. It's a place of comfort for me, a homecoming, a place where I felt confident and secure. I'm sure it will always be special to me. It was my second family, my home away from home. And that is where I began to build the relationships and the confidence that would help lead me through life. I was incredibly blessed to have been able to consider Ken and his family an extension of my own. Ken played a huge role in my transition to adulthood. And whether he would take credit for that or not, I owe him my gratitude. My parents would say the same. They were as lost as I was in those days. Ken will live on in our hearts and our memories, and I, for one, will forever treasure that time I got to spend with him. Thank you.
Wow. And this is just the tip of the iceberg of stories about Ken and his true love. And so I'm going to jump to the end and then come back, okay? We want everybody to come and join us at Ken's house on 3693.
2593.
2593.
Top of the hill.
Top of the hill, and share these stories, because you know that's how we live on and how we minister to one another. So I'd encourage you, we had to kind of limit the number of people who were able to speak, but please come and share these things, because this is just like the tip of the iceberg. And for me, when I look back and I think about my time, and I think about, you know, growing up with Ken. Okay, Glen was my older brother, and Ken, and they were constantly mischief. Now, I believe this picture actually does catch that little twinkle, not quite. You know when you've been had, right? So I really wanted to applaud this picture because it really did, I thought, show Ken at his finest. You know, and you were talking about skiing in Colorado. Seems like we were at one of the ski areas that Ken was patrolling at, and he took us off into the secret stash of powder, which was just absolutely incredible, but you had to kind of be a local. I remember him, he sold me my first house when I was just afraid to even get into real estate. But what was cool about that is in my conversations with him, he says, you know, Eric, your potential is really unlimited. And he said, I know we don't have a lot of time, but let me let you listen to a series of tapes, cassette tapes. For those of you that remember what cassette tapes are, they came right after 8-track tapes. And it was a thing, and it was part of the real estate that he'd been listening to, which was by Zig Ziglar.
Yeah.
We'll see you at the top. And to this day, I still think about some of the examples and how that influenced me to become more organized, start setting goals, a number of different things. And this is just talking about who Ken really was and how he continued to mentor in Allied Foods. We, of course, Debbie and I contacted our 3 daughters, who all, of course, texted back many memories, but I can remember them stocking shelves when they were this tall and the aprons were folded over 2, maybe 3 times, setting up in the back and setting up their own little food booth, which they were selling Cheetos, and they called it McDonald's, and somehow the employees all used to give them money. I never totally understood that. But what I really remember about him when we were growing up is, you know, his deep root and belief system. And so we're here today and we're going, okay, well, Ken, man, we love you. And we've treasured our time with you. But when I think about his belief system and we think about, okay, where is Ken? And I spend a lot of time thinking about this. And I think about who Ken was. And so I found a passage in the book of John that is really kind of cool, because this is just before what we're going to read was the Last Supper. And you all remember the Last Supper. And Jesus was together with his disciples for the last time. And the cool thing is he had just washed their feet in a sign of humility. A sign that again I could see Ken emulating. The sign of humility where Jesus washed their feet. And it's after the meal and they're laying around. But he also knew that that night he'd be arrested, he'd be betrayed, and crucified the next day. So here's what he shared with his disciples, and this is in chapter 14 of the book of John. And I'm only going to read 5 verses, and I'm going to encourage you guys, okay, lads, when's the last time you came to a funeral and got homework? Okay, you got homework. John chapter 14. But I'm going to read the first 5 verses, because here's Jesus, and he's just pouring out his heart to his disciples. And he says, "Do not let your hearts be troubled. Trust in God. Trust also in me. In my Father's house are many rooms, and if were not so, I would have told you. I'm going there to prepare a place for you. And if I go to prepare a place for you, I will come back and take you to be with me, that you also may be where I am. You know the way, the place where I am going." Again, that comfort where he is basically saying, you don't need to be worried about, don't worry or surrender your fear. For you believe in God, now trust and believe in me also. And here he's pouring his heart out, and he's with the disciples. And what I loved about his disciples, they were all just fishermen. They were all just, they weren't the cream of the crop skiers. We think of them as they are, but they were just like every one of us, everyday Joes, right? And he's pouring out to in his heart. And of course, a lot of us think of my favorite bull in the china shop, Peter. But here, Thomas said to him, "Lord, we don't know where you're going, so how can we know the way?" Answers in chapter 14, starting in verse 6. Homework, right? Okay. So, but the main thing we want to focus on today is the fact that Ken had a way with people. He would meet them where they were. He would always be the first one to extend his hand for help. Did he ever want any thanks? No. Did he have kind of a crazy side? Yes, he did. But he was indeed an incredible person. And to honor him with all of us here today, I just am in awe. I think about our lives and how we struggled. And in times when we are weak, when times when we're finding ourselves lacking, we can think about people like Ken, who are always there with that hand to pull us up, to raise us up, and meeting us where we were. And I, for one, know that there were times that I'm sure that he was disappointed in my progress. Did he ever show it? No. He just loved me just the same. So I'm going to close with this thought, and it's in the Psalms, and I want you guys to think about this. When you think about Ken and think about his life and how he emulated his belief system and how he emulated so many things. In Psalm 121, he says, I lift my eyes to the hills. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heavens and earth. He will not let your foot slip. He who watches over you will not slumber. Indeed, he watches over Israel, will neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is your shade at your right hand. The sun will not harm you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will keep you from all harm. He will watch over your life. The Lord will watch over your comings and goings, but now and forever. Father, there's just words cannot express my personal gratitude and all of our gratitude for Ken and how his giving, his loving, his pranksterism, his tenacity, his desire, his love. I ask that you help us, each one of us, to keep that piece of him in our hearts. Help us to be and emulate the love that he showed each of us. Father, I ask a special blessing upon especially Perry and Jessica and all the entire family, as they've lost not only a father, a brother, an uncle, a dear friend. Bless and guide us this day. In Jesus' name, amen. Our bodies are elements that come from the earth, and ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Our body returns to the earth. And again, I want to thank you all for being here. You're welcome to add to the ashes to ashes. But again, I want to encourage you to come and share your stories and share with us at Ken's house, 36 in Arizona, 2593. But we got a special surprise for you. Today is also Ken's birthday. So there's birthday cake. So come on over and enjoy.
We can both fall over together.
Oh, please.
The one who broke his legs.
How are you? Good.
I don't know. How are you?
Saddle is.
Hi, Liz.
So she got to join us.
I'm so glad. We're heading over to the house.
Nice to see you.
Yeah, the senior Yeah, we did.